Hello, welcome to the Early Childhood Voices 2022 conference. My name is Kristín Dýrfjörð and I am presenting on behalf of my group here today. And my presentation, our presentation name is Young Children's Perspective of Time in Early Childhood Education in Iceland and in Croatia. And here you can see the name of my co-presenters. This from Anna Magnea Hreinsdóttir from University of Iceland, Adrijana Visnjic-Jevtic from University of Zagreb, and Alison from University of Southeastern Norway. Aim and the purpose of this study was to provide insight into young children's views about how they experience the time they stay in preschool and what is meaningful for them. What matters to children according to themselves. The research aimed to give preschool children the opportunity to express their views on their daily life within the preschool and their experience of the length of their daily hours to shed light on what affects their well-being in the preschool. The background of this study is this discussion that has been in Europe and in Iceland about the time that the children stay in the preschool, if it's too long, if it's too short, and if the children are of too long time away from the parents, and etc. So that was kind of the background of why we start doing this. But we also wanted to know the children's own opinion, get the voices from the children on how they experience the time. This time is a series of activities that take place in our lives and can pass quickly or slowly, depending on our perception of the situation. This is mostly true for preschool children, who often do not know how to measure time by the clock, but rather about what they are dealing with at any given time. And a sense of time is both the ability to perceive a series of action, to plan one's action, and to be able to understand how time passes. And then we are having the concept of pedagogical time, which is based on daily routines that support children's perception of time, empathizing the rhythm, well-being, and learning. We also, because we are looking at it from the time of children's welfare and what in support children's welfare, and we know that the preschool environment needs to be flexible, and that children should have opportunity to play and do creative work without time pressure, what we call incubation time. And as is presented by slow pedagogy and slow knowledge, which we refer to. It is crucial to understand, interpret, and give meaning to the day event, subjects of communication for both teachers and children. So this is kind of the background for us. The field and the data collection, and as we said in the beginning, this research took place in 2 countries, one in Iceland and in Croatia. The Icelandic study was conducted in 6 preschools in the capital of Iceland and in 9 classrooms. In total, the research met and talked to about 160 to 180 children, and they were 4 and 5 years old. And in Iceland, we used the hangout method. That is to say, we stayed about 3 hours in every department, and we had with us creative materials for drawings and used that to draw children to us to discuss. We just sat there and kind of hang out with the children. And in Croatia, the study was conducted in a preschool in the rural area of the Republic of Croatia. The study took place in a mixed age group classroom, where the researcher met with 14 children who were all 5 years old. In both places, we had a bit of a problem because of COVID-19, the closing of the school, so we had kind of used the opportunities when there were open windows for us in Iceland, and in Croatia, it was the children's teacher who was with them all the time that did the interviews and collected the data. Here we can see examples of daily schedules in Croatia as the children drew it. And as we can see, this one of them is by a girl and the other one is by a boy. And you can see that they are showing activities with children, where children are doing together. But if you look closer at it, you can also see those activities that are part of the pedagogical schedular rhythm of the day. Croatian findings that most children focused on playing and learning situations, and it is interesting how children most often describes self-organized and self-initiated activities, as you could see on the this slide here, when you see the children showing each other with other children mostly. Only 2 children portrayed adults, teachers, as someone who initiates activities, and that was a storytelling activities. But in Croatia, meal times are scheduling factor. They are kind of the stepping stones in the daily schedule for everything happened between those meal times. Here we can have, we will get a little bit of a voice from children, the voices. For example, they talk about something we have taken from 2 perspectives. Lotta, she says, sleeping takes a long time. Sometimes I get bored of sleeping and I can't wait to get out to play again. But Dario, he is, on the other hand, he is pleased with the long sleeping because it allows him to dream. So this is the same activity or thing that they do in the preschool, but very different take on what was happening there. Now I will go over to the Iceland preschools. As I said, we were in 6 preschool in 9 classrooms. And we found out that we could actually divide the schools into 2 groups. That was not by a design, but that was something that we just found out. And in part of the school, we could see what was called a traditional schedule, where the days were scheduled down into these visual clues are very common in Icelandic preschool, and the days were scheduled into very, very many things, up to 23. But then we also had the preschools that they had where there was a flexible schedule built on a flow, where they would have few things and children could go in between and didn't have to wait to finish something and do in certain order, except maybe eating with meals. And the Icelandic findings. And we also found that this was the children experienced time a bit different in those 2 types of school. The school that had the flowing schedule, there was more incubation time. The children had more time to dwell into the play and be into the activities they were doing. But in some of the school, which had very many things on the schedule, we kind of were thinking if it was too tight, and it was if the schedule was in danger of becoming too fragmented. And we actually were thinking about, as a consequence, if children's time to play and the children's play suffered because of that. But here I am also giving you an example of the children's voices in Iceland. And here is a boy who said, when I'm playing outside, I am long time, but when I'm playing indoors, I am short time. And Sigrún, sometimes you are in a preschool for a long time, but not always. Einar said, but if you are playing with a Lego or some toys, you are usually very long. And Halldór, it is 12 o'clock when I come and 100 when I'm picked up, or 50. So this is kind of just giving you the knowledge of how they answered the questions, or how it appeared in those conversations. And then I'm coming to the conclusions for both of the countries. And before I do that, I want to say that even though we used very different methods, we found out very similar, we got similar conclusions or results. Most children understand time through the sequences of events and have a sense of time associated with them. This happened after this comes after this. First I clean my hand and then I go to the table or whatever. In both countries, children mentioned similar things that took a long or short time, depending on the circumstances. For example, connected to being with friends, which could, then they were having a good time and then the time went in a hurry, or it went, it was lost it for a long time. Or for example, the needs of the parents or the families when they were picking them up. Some of them talked about that they were being hurried. They knew that somebody was waiting, that they had to be in a hurry. It could be stated that the sense of time is relative and situational, and often connected also to the children's emotions, as have been showed here before. The present symbolizes children's sense of time, and their perception of the time differ depending on the activity they were involved in, and if it was pleasurable to them or not. For example, there's children in Croatia who have those very different understanding of the sleeping time during the middle of the day. Children's emotions were connected to their understanding, so if they were having a good time with friends, they felt good, and the time was enjoyable, and time flew by. But if, for example, the play did not work or they were waiting for a friend, the time felt long. And the play did not work, that they explained sometimes that they had some idea of play, but that didn't work, and then they didn't enjoy playing. This did not mean that a pleasurable activity took a short time. It could take a long time, and that was a good thing, but something boring could also take a long time, like waiting for the bus. So children's emotions are connected how they experience time, and we think this is a very important point for us to take into further research and further discussion. And at last, most children enjoyed the preschool. Many children indicated that they thought the day was going well and that the day activities were varied and fun. And it was true, for example, both types of daily schedules in Iceland. It was also clear that children felt that they had various activities to choose from in the preschool. And the results of this study also support other studies that show that children's friendship, their peers, and good communication with them are important to children. Children experience the time individually, but external factors can and do influence their understanding and experience. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation.